study the diagram below. Okay, what have we got here? We have got A, B, C, and D. So what are we looking at? Now let's go with that blue. What are we looking at? We're looking at a follicle that is developing. Now, this here is going to be our ovum or our egg cell. This is going to be our diploid zygote. Okay, because fertilization occurred here. Wow, I love this. I love it. I love this question. Okay, now we have mitosis occurring here. And that mitosis is going to form, so we'll have, this is our blastocyst, this is a morula. That's what this structure is called, it's a morula. This is a blastocyst. See, it's got this little cyst area here. That's why it's called the blastocyst. D, this is going to be implantation. Okay, now we're rocking. Okay, now below is the diagram, shows the development of the follicle. So here's our follicle developing. And where would this follicle be? This follicle is going to develop in the ovary. So what do we have? This is day 1, day 7, day 14. So what is E? E is going to be ovulation. Ovulation takes place around about day 14 if a female has a normal cycle. If that cycle is not normal, then it can be day 13, it can be day 15, but it's around about there, all right? And that's if they run a 28-day cycle, which is a lunar cycle, by the way. Okay, so here we go. So that's ovulation. And remember, ovulation is caused because of luteinizing hormone. And that luteinizing hormone is from the pituitary gland. Okay, let me take this in the ovary off. Remember, in the female, we have 2 cycles. We have what happens in the ovary, and we have what happens in the uterus. Okay, so, and then F is going to be our corpus luteum. This one here is going to be the Graafian follicle. Okay, and then the Graafian follicle grows and grows and grows, and then it bursts, and because luteinizing hormone makes it burst, and then ovulation takes place. It releases this little egg cell. Egg cell, or we can call it an ovum. Alrighty, and then we get to the end of 28 days, and if fertilization did not take place, what happens? The corpus luteum disintegrates. It no longer inhibits the pituitary from releasing a follicle stimulating hormone, so a new follicle will start to form. I think let's quickly do this. I just want to show you the interaction. Let's go right down. Okay, this is the process. We have the pituitary, and the pituitary gland, which is in your brain, right at the top. Okay, in the center of the brain, the pituitary gland releases follicle stimulating hormone. Follicle stimulating hormone travels in the blood, and it goes to the ovaries. Okay, and when it gets to the ovary, the follicle stimulating hormone causes in the ovary, it causes the development of the follicle. Because remember, inside this follicle, we are now going to have our little embryo, our little female structure. Okay, so we have development of the follicle. Now, the follicle releases estrogen. So the more developed the follicle becomes, the more the level of estrogen increases. What does estrogen do? Estrogen goes to the pituitary gland in the blood, and it stimulates the pituitary gland to now release a second hormone, and that second hormone is called luteinizing hormone. And luteinizing hormone goes to the ovary and says, oi, ovary, you now need to convert this structure, and so the follicle is now going to release the egg cell or the ovum, and we call that ovulation. Okay? Luteinizing hormone also then causes the Graafian follicle to develop into the corpus luteum. Now remember, this corpus luteum is still in the ovary. And the corpus luteum then releases progesterone. And that progesterone does two things. One, it inhibits the release of follicle stimulating hormone, because if fertilization takes place and there is pregnancy, you don't want the pituitary to now release follicle stimulating hormone and cause the ovary for a new follicle to develop in the ovary, and the ovary then to do what? It then releases another egg cell during ovulation. Then what? So you would then be able to, if that happened, be pregnant 1 month with one egg cell, 2 months with the second one, 3 months with the second one, 4 months with the fourth. We would be pregnant our whole lives. Okay, you don't want that. There's only space for one baba to grow. So you've got to stop the pituitary from releasing follicle stimulating hormone. And the only way to do that is with progesterone. So progesterone, number one, inhibits the pituitary from releasing follicle stimulating hormone, so there aren't any new follicles. And number two, progesterone maintains the endometrium, making it nice and glandular and lots of blood vessels, so that if fertilization takes place and that little embryo implants into the uterus, that it can be looked after, that it's going to be supported and it'll be able to grow and develop. Okay, so what do we have? We have follicle stimulating hormone stimulates the ovary, the follicle development in the ovary. As the follicle develops, it releases estrogen, which is an ovarian hormone. The estrogen then stimulates the pituitary to release luteinizing hormone. Okay, the luteinizing hormone causes the follicle to burst, an ovulation to take place so that the egg cell or ovum is released. Okay, and then it also causes, the luteinizing hormone causes the Graafian follicle to become the corpus luteum, and the corpus luteum releases progesterone, which maintains the endometrium for implantation and inhibits the release of follicle stimulating hormone. You know that pregnancy has not taken place when they show you a diagram or a process where the corpus luteum disintegrates. So if it disintegrates, what happens? Your progesterone level will decrease. And when that progesterone level decreases, your follicle, your pituitary is no longer inhibited, and it will release follicle stimulating hormone, and the whole cycle will start again. Alrighty, so now let's look at our questions. We say, okay, structure A, hormone responsible for E and process D. So we did all of those. We did A is your ovum, hormone at E was luteinizing hormone, and D, the process at D was implantation, okay? Name the hormone produced by the follicle before process E. So before process E, that is going to be Oestrogen. That's why estrogen produced by the follicle is known as an ovarian hormone. Okay, right. How many chromosomes does structure B have? So let's quickly check structure B. It's your diploid zygote, so it's going to be diploid. So how many chromosomes? If this is a human, it's going, how many chromosomes? They're talking about not pairs, they're talking about chromosomes. It's going to have 46. Okay, then on which day was structure A released? Well, it's always day 14, and most of your diagrams you'll get. Describe the development of B until it forms C. Well, guys and girls, that's actually quite easy. We have a, let me get some space here. We have a diploid zygote. Will undergo mitosis. Okay, and it's going to form a mass of cells called a morula, like marula fruit, okay? Just like marula fruit. Marula, I don't know why they even called it a marula, but anyway, marula, okay? And then the marula will continue to undergo mitosis, okay? And that is going to then develop into, I'm running out of time. It undergoes mitosis and it develops a hollow, I love my team. Guys, I just have to tell you, I love my team. You know that. My freaking team. I've got Mbali and I've got my beautiful little Koketso. He's like a bad-tempered little old man, but he is, mwah, I love him. And I've got Becky, who is my flippin' hero. Okay, just want to put it out there. They've just given me an extra minute and I'm wasting time talking nonsense. So the development of a hollow, now that hollow becomes part of your blastocyst. Okay, it's a cyst. Why? Because look here, it's got this little part there. Okay, so that's your follicle that's going to burst, and then so that develops, and then when you have your fertilization, there, look at this. There's your cyst. There's your empty cavity structure. Okay, and where am I? So the blastocyst, or you can call it a blastula, and then that blastula will implant into the wall of the uterus, or we can call that the endometrium. And then it says, explain the consequences of a 25-year-old female with regard to the ovarian cycle if her pituitary gland does not secrete hormones. Well, what's going to happen? No follicle stimulating hormone, no follicle, no ovulation, no fertilization. Explain the importance of structure F remaining constant after process E. So its structure F was your corpus luteum. Why? The corpus luteum produces progesterone, which inhibits the pituitary from releasing follicle-stimulating hormone in another cycle. But what does it also do? It maintains that lining of the endometrium.